Our next session looks at net positive hospitality, and can hotels achieve true net positive hospitality, or is it just a marketing ploy? Well, it's a good question, and our moderator, Radhika Arapally, hopes to get the answers from her very knowledgeable panellists. Now, let me tell you a bit about Radhika. She's the founder of the Sustainability Kiosk, and that provides sustainable technology solutions for hospitality and travel. Now, she's going to be talking to Pascal Armoudom, who's the partner at Kearney, and Inge Huijbrechts, who's the Chief Sustainability and Security Officer at Radisson Hotel Group. Now, I'd just like to have a quick note before I invite Radhika and her panellists to the stage. We were supposed to have with us this afternoon Patrick from the World Sustainable Hospitality Alliance, and they're doing a fantastic job of bringing all the hotel groups from around the world together, and other entities too, to try and forge a path towards net positive hospitality. Now, unfortunately, Patrick couldn't be here due to emergency family circumstances. He sends his apologies, but the great news is that Inge from Radisson is Vice Chair of the Alliance's Board of Trustees. So she's here to talk about Radisson, but she's also an Alliance member too. So I'm not going to talk anymore. We've got our 3 chairs ready. I would like a bit of energy in the room and a big round of applause for our moderator and our 2 panellists, Radhika, Inge, and Pascal.
Yeah, let's do 2 ladies here,
yes,
please.
You'll be flanked.
Okay, you can just set the stage.
You are flanked.
Thank you so much for that, Gemma. We sadly miss Patrick today. Patrick O'Meara from the World Sustainable Hospitality Alliance will be missed on this panel. So with that said, I'm Radhika Arapally, the founder for Sustainability Kiosk, and it's my honor to take down the topic of net positive hospitality. Is it a reality or is it a marketing ploy? I think there are heads nodding in the room this way or that way, I really can't say, but let's hope our panels can demystify this for us in 20 minutes, and probably by the time we leave the room, we have a set mind on what it is. But for those in the room, net positive hospitality, I mean, Richard delivered a wonderful platform climate tech approach for net zero. But what's net positive? Net positive is going beyond net zero. It's giving back much more than we take. And this was coined by World Sustainable Hospitality Alliance. And 26 years from now is what we expect that we will be at net zero and net positive. Can anyone think of where you were 26 years ago? We were approaching the Y2K, the dot-com burst, and we were all about, is that going to come through? Is the laptops going to crash? We made it through. Do we think we're going to make it through 2050? Are we confident about that? I don't know. So let's ask the panel. So that's where we are. 2060, 2050 is the challenge, where we expect that, and 2030 is the goalpost. By 2030, we expect that 66% reduction. So I think Radisson is one of the world's, you have plenty of hotels nearing up. So can I ask Inge to explain to us a bit more on how is Radisson approaching the net positive hospitality and give us a bit of confidence in the subject?
Yes, Radhika, with pleasure. Hello, everyone. Actually, I want to start with a not so positive reality. I think you must have all read that there's a very great chance that 2024 is going to be the hottest year on record. And I just want to let that sink in for a moment, because it means that we no longer need to speak about the why, but we really need to speak about the how, and we need to get things going with consistent action at speed and scale. So, a little bit about Radisson. We are 1,400 hotels in operation and development in 95 countries, so quite spread out, 10 leading brands. And when we talk about sustainability, we started our sustainability journey a long, long time ago. So we say we're a sustainability pioneer. We always try to take the next step, and we are committed to become net zero by 2050. We have made some progress. So compared to 2019, pre-pandemic numbers, to have reliable comparisons, we reduced our carbon intensity by 35%. It's good, but it's not good enough, right? The speed and scale is needed. So our role, we are an asset-light company, is actually to work very closely with asset owners and developers to make sure that we provide transparency about what's needed. We help them to make sure that their assets don't become stranded, that they are actually withstanding the test of net zero in the future. And thirdly, what we also need to do, of course, we are a people company. We are around the globe. We have 75,000 team members. We need to engage them and let them talk to the guests. We want to drive the demand for sustainable, real sustainable tourism. So I'll leave it at that for the moment. I think there's many things we can talk about, examples, how we green buildings, how we green energy, how we involve our teams. And I think it's feasible, but I come back to the speed, scale, and the time to act is now.
Great start. And 35% reduction, that's a great start from what you started. But you also said about development and how you need to work with asset owners. So Mr. Pascal, tell us, because you work a lot with development, be it your work with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and in entire Middle East. So as a partner, do you see developers asking for more sustainable design right from the start of the building stage?
Yeah, absolutely, Radhika, and I can only confirm the trend that was mentioned, because if you look at a couple of numbers as well, so number of international tourists in 2024 is going to reach 1.5 billion, and by 2030 is going to be 1.8 billion.
Ooh.
So it's not only today
We need to do it right.
that we need to start, but it's really about yesterday. And what we see also, Kearney is just releasing at the occasion of the summit a global research. We have interviewed 1,700 global travelers from US, China, India, Europe, and the region, obviously. And what the research says is that 75% of global travelers are, for 75%, sustainability plays an important or a critical role in choosing their tourism destination. And when we ask them what it means, they say about green mobility available on site, what you mentioned already, renewable energies, efficiency in waste management, and so on and so forth. So it's an imperative, and it's now also recognized by the market. So now to address your question, yes, there are obviously some efforts, including from developers and from the shareholders of these developers, sovereign funds in the region as an example. And we know, because we work with these clients and we support them in that effort, that they're asking the development companies to develop an ESG strategy. So E, obviously for environment, as social and G, governance, which then has to translate into a scorecard and has to be cascaded down throughout the organization, down to asset level.
Oh,
so yeah,
brilliant.
they are starting.
And is that mandated?
It is. It's a mandate, yes, absolutely.
That's a good question. That's probably the start of any journey, right? And from your point, Inge, as you're developing more hotels, your pipeline is ever so busy. We see a lot more announcements coming. How much of the sustainable design is mandated across as an operator?
I think I see ourselves more as a knowledge partner, because of course, we work with all kinds of asset owners and developers. So 65% of our owners have more than one property with us, but it could be institutional owners or high net worth individuals or anything in between. So very much what we notice is that there is still a lot of awareness raising to be done. First of all, on things, for example, when I say green buildings, it's very important to highlight that designing a green building is not necessarily, and building it, is not necessarily more expensive if you do it the right way. Or that, as we are now in a conversion market, converting hotels should actually be done with sustainability in mind. So that's where we as Radisson try to be knowledge partners and provide supporting tools. For example, We have experts in our teams who are certified on LEED green building, on BREEAM, or on EDGE, which is a system of the World Bank. So we have those experts in-house. We have added to our technical standards, which are like brand and technical standards that are already very good on the environment. We've added an additional layer to allow, which we call Build Planet Advanced, to allow these owners to get to that LEED or BREEAM or EDGE level if they don't want to certify straight away. We have done a study across 25 markets on what is possible on renewable energy. We do hand-holding for the owners if they wish to do so. We do hand-holding to drive those innovations and to make what's available on the market actually happen for them. So for example, here in Dubai, for example, one of our hotels, the Radisson Red Silicon Oasis, is LEED Platinum certified. Now, that wasn't Radisson's doing, but it's about choosing the owners or working with those owners who go for those certifications or helping the owners who are not yet thinking about that. And for example, our Radisson Blue Dara Creek, which is our first property here in Dubai, I think it's about 40 years ago that that hotel was built.
Well-known F&B
It's
outlets.
been renovated many times. It's stunning on the inside. And we introduced actually an innovation on thermodynamic solar on the roof, which doesn't take much space. It's a payback in just 2 years. So even on conversion, you can do these things, but you need a knowledge partner. And Radisson provides that knowledge as part of our team and as part of our journey to net zero.
Wonderful.
No, I think that's great, and congratulations for all these efforts. If you allow me, I have also a question to Radisson or to hospitality operators in general, is how do they see also their role, not only to provide these policies, norms, guidance, let's say in the back of the house, right, which client and guests do not necessarily see at first glance, but also to influence the experience. And here, you know, I'm coming into the regenerative tourism area. Examples, for instance, is on the Red Sea coastline promoting coral farms development with the help of guests, also the interactions with local communities. That would be also my candid question.
Correct, and I think, good, now you're the moderator, Pascal, love it. It doesn't happen often. But I think a lot of sustainability is moving towards experiences. Yeah. It could be, you know, when I went to Maldives and it was my kids asking for what happens to the coconuts, what happens to something else. And parents have a bit of time to actually explain to the kids more about nature or talk through. That's personal experience, but I think experiences is coming more and more into sustainability. And guests play an important role in the stakeholder management. Yeah. So we've got to have guests in the journey as much as we have owners and government. Guests play an important role. Yeah. So I think definitely I've seen it.
Yeah, I think we owe it to the next generation to start with. But it's an excellent question because, of course, when we talk about net zero, it's all about investing. And we very much believe at Radisson that there can be a pool or a revenue generated actually by being truly sustainable. The one thing that I would say is that we need to have a united voice in the industry because otherwise we are confusing guests. It needs to be real sustainability or real sustainable stays, right? And we need to speak the same language. So that's why with my World Sustainable Hospitality hat on, actually we have defined this pathway to net positive hospitality. Because we also need to recognize that not every hotel is at the same level. Even in a group like Radisson, we have 50-room boutique hotels in a far-off destination with an owner who, when I say net zero, they think I'm from another planet, right? So the point is, we have all kinds of hotels. In any destination, you have the smaller ones and you have the luxury ones and you have all the spectrum all the way on the brands. So that's why this pathway is so powerful because we all agreed, and that's more than 40% of the industry united in the World Sustainable Hospitality Alliance. So all the big brands are there, everybody, and also partners like asset owners and developers are there. We all agreed on these 4 steps. The 4 steps are all verifiable and underpinned by KPIs. So the first step is the hotel sustainability basics. It's 12 things that a hotel has to do. They have to be verified to get that stamp. As a next level, you have eco labels, which we all know, like Green Key or EarthCheck or Green Globe, which are certified. And then the next step is your net zero, where we define together a methodology. It's been signed off by expert parties. And then net positive, where we're not 100% sure yet how we're going to do that, but we are thinking of advancing certain projects in certain destinations where all the brands can actually work together, for example, on waste management or on biodiversity restoration, etc. But I do agree with you that creating that pool and creating that revenue generating opportunity of true sustainability is essential. We need to do it because it's a global imperative, but we also have the clients asking for it, as you said, and we need to offer it to them in a clear, transparent, and reliable way.
And actually, I'm glad you described the 4 stages really nicely. I think everyone now understands what is net positive hospitality with the 4 stages. Now, what I noticed with that, Inge, putting you on the hot seat again, is stage 1, where you talk about basics. Abu Dhabi had a huge engagement with all the hotels, and everyone's done basics. That's very clear. Dubai has our own sustainable tourism stamp, and they've covered the basics. So stage 1 has taken care of. Stage 2, you said, is the certifications. And I think with Green Key, Green Globe, and all of this, we are fast approaching that. But what I notice is stage 2 to stage 3 is a huge leap. Now, are we doing enough to get to the stage 3 with the prescribed time that we have?
I think we can only do it if we all do it together. I think you alluded to government before. What we see in many destinations, and also here, is that it's important to realize that all these hotels out there need to go to green energy. All these hotels out there will need to install specific MEP solutions for efficient cooling. They need to move away from gas, not here, but in many locations. So that needs to happen, and there is not enough understanding from many governments on how to stimulate that, because the demand of renewable energy of one hotel may actually be quite low. And it's not because they operate under the Radisson brand that we control the energy choices of each of those hotels, because they are managed or they are franchised. So that means it's each owner or owner group deciding on that. And so where we would like to work together with governments is to ensure that these things can happen. I give you another example. In most of the hotels that you have in Dubai, you don't have space on the roof to put a PV plant. You don't. So what we see in other countries is that you can do offsite PPA with a developer, provided they want to do that at the level of what you need. But if you can get that done, you can accelerate and you provide the tools. So that is what it takes, in my view, to make a destination like UAE, which is doing great things, sustainable in terms of a destination.
Perfect. And I think it's a very good example. Government plays a very important stakeholder in terms of getting to that net zero, right? And how do you see when it comes to Saudi Arabia? You do a lot of work there, and we've heard so many panels in front of us elaborately talk about plans there. But in terms of being a partner at the table for net positive?
No, first of all, as you know, Saudi Arabia has set a clear vision to achieve neutral gas emissions by 2060. You may say it's challenging enough or not challenging enough. I mean, that's a debate. Happy to be on the table. But at least it's important because it sets directions, right? It's a North Star that every stakeholder have to follow and comply with, from investment funds to developers or every stakeholder in the industry. And when I was mentioning the example of the ESG strategy being designed with a clear mandate and the scorecard being obviously also cascaded down, that directly connects to that objective. So yes, it's a PPP, public-private partnership topic. Absolutely agree that operators cannot have this whole burden on their shoulders, There needs to be incentives, there needs to be ease, there needs to be the right fiscal and tax environment as well to make it possible.
Oh, wonderful. So actually operators are asking for more regulations.
We're asking for a better understanding of the tourism industry, of what it takes to make the tourism industry sustainable and go to net zero. And I think platforms like the World Sustainable Hospitality Alliance are actually representing such a majority of the industry in so many destinations around the world, and not at least here in UAE, so that we can be that partner to say, okay, listen to us, we are ready to take the steps, but help us take those steps.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to say it. And thank you so much for that. I just noticed it's actually Anjema is walking up. 20 minutes go by really quickly. I just feel like we've just started. So with that, I was going to say thank you so much for being on the stage. Is there any burning one question from the audience, if anyone has?
A very quick one. Do we have any questions?
If there is any question on the audience, because what we've concluded, like I said from the panel, is that, look, there is the pathway. There's enough work done from the World Sustainable Hospitality Alliance in aligning, in collaboration, at least as hospitality. We are blessed that we have the Alliance who is actually bringing all the leaders together on one platform. But what we need is support from ownership groups, support from government, so we are ready to achieve it. Is that a good conclusion?
Yeah.
It is.
It is. Thank you so much.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you to Radhika and Inge and Pascal.
Really wonderful.
Feels like we're getting somewhere now, doesn't it, with the sustainability effort? So thanks to you guys for bringing it alive and being so engaging.